This is Michael Popok, and this is Legal AF After Dark. Immigration is the centerpiece of the Biden administration. But without help from Congress and the MAGA Congress, there's no real resolution of what is going on at the various borders. But we can't have states jumping off sides and trying to go after the federal government and sue them when they're not allowed to under the Constitution, or try to invade the province of federal power when it comes to immigration policy. Well, that's all coming to a head because the Biden administration has filed an appeal, an emergency appeal with the United States Supreme Court. First stop, Sam Alito, who's responsible for all things coming out of Texas federal court before it goes to the full panel. Question is Texas allowed on its own to conduct its own federal immigration policy? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Are they allowed to install razor wire in a way that impedes Border Patrol and their efforts to apprehend people that are illegally trying to enter this country? That's what we're down to right now. Separately, to distract from all of this and for performative reasons and show theater, we've got MAGA Congress, and all they're doing is trying to start impeachment proceedings against the Homeland Security Director, Mayorkas. What's that all about? We talk about it on Legal AF, and here's a clip. Let's move to the last topic for tonight, which is we don't often talk about immigration policy here. We're always trying to be at that intersection of law, politics, and justice. It's one of the reasons we're not talking about Jeffrey Epstein today or other people involved in that. It's not really quite what we do here on Legal AF. There's certainly other places like the Brothers Podcast on MeidasTouch. But for us, we want to focus on things that are at that really sweetly at that intersection. Immigration policy is important. It's important to the Biden administration, and sometimes they have to go and run up to the United States Supreme Court when states like Texas and their governor decide that they know better about federal immigration policy. Immigration policy is something that there is the states and their attempts to regulate in that area are preempted by federal law. That's just the way it is. That's our federalist system. There's certain things like, whether you need to have a seatbelt in a car, or the Federal Aviation Administration about how planes travel and how safety is provided by them and all that. It's just a federal issue, right? People say that old line, don't make a federal issue out of this. There are just certain things that are a federal issue. And there's a doctrine called federal preemption, which ousts the states from interfering in certain things. That's why states can't conduct their own foreign policy. That's something that's reserved for the president of the United States. And when they try that, or as Texas did, sue the United States of America, sue the federal government because they don't like certain immigration policy on their border on the Rio Grande, and they want to go install miles and miles of razor wire, which is inconsistent with the Border Patrol, because it makes it difficult to do their job when people are trapped between the razor wire and Mexico on one side and Texas, and they need to apprehend those people in order to process them, and they can't get through because there's razor wire that was just installed by the state. That's a problem. When the states sue the federal government without permission, which is not allowed, to try to enforce their own personal immigration policy, that's a problem. And what do? If you're the Biden administration, you file an emergency petition to the United States Supreme Court and ask them to take review of whether Governor Abbott and his attorney general have the right to conduct federal immigration policy or interfere with federal immigration policy, yes or no. And the first stop on that train is Justice Alito, because he's assigned to the Fifth Circuit. And he decides on full briefing, which is going to come up next, whether up or down, he's going to send this off to the full nine member panel of justices to decide whether to take this appeal or not, or he's going to do something else. Why don't you pick it up from there and then round it out, KFA, with that's going on. So there has to be some political performative art piece done by the MAGA Republicans at the same time to distract from that. And that is in the form of speakers of the House running down to the border and impeachment proceedings starting against Secretary of Homeland Security Mayorkas. Why don't you pick it up from there?
So there's no doubt that our country was founded on immigration, right? Who amongst us is not somehow responsible for, if you can't think their immigrant great-grandparents, our grandparents, for risking everything coming to this country and starting a new life, right? We have the Statute of Liberty, even famously basically says, give us your immigrants. It says a lot more than that, but we are a place of immigrants, and it's what makes this country beautiful and wonderful and why everybody wants to come here. That being said, we have completely failed as a country, in my opinion, at passing any sort of rational immigration laws. And that's not a Democrat issue or a Republican issue. I would say every single administration, and because Congress passes laws and the president will veto or sign them, this is not, you can't blame any president, you can't blame Joe Biden, you can't blame anybody, including even Donald Trump. But I also have to say I am sympathetic to the communities. New York is one, including Chicago, New York, not just the border towns, who are overwhelmed by the amount of people who are coming here. And it's tragic, right? These are human beings, and these are human beings who deserve better than what we can provide for them. And so it's a complete and utter failure of our country, in my opinion. This is just my opinion, and so I don't want to. I will say that it's an opinion. But that said, as you so eloquently put it, it doesn't mean that the Texas governor, Greg Abbott, can then just throw up his hands and act lawlessness and inhumanely, right? And look, I'm not a fan of Governor Abbott. I'm not, but I can understand why the mayors of many cities and the governors of many states are extremely frustrated by the state of affairs, because although you are 100% right, this has to be done by the federal government. The federal government's not doing anything. It's not a Biden question. This is absolutely, it falls in Congress's lap as, first and foremost, full stop. And even when it was 100% controlled by Democrats, including the presidency, they failed to do it. And same thing with Republicans. For whatever reason, this is the one thing that we have not been able to do. And the victims are real human beings, right? These are family members and people who are getting caught in razor wire at the border or getting bussed and dropped off in a city in the freezing cold without anything. And it's just to watch all this happen is really upsetting. And it's, I think, really terrible. But at the same time, Governor Abbott can't do what he's doing, and it's just wrong. And it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening. The law is clear, right? It's unambiguous. It's clear that the border and the area, I think it's 25 miles of an international border, is absolutely in the purview of the federal government. And so Governor Abbott just can't do what he's doing. And so I think the Supreme Court will do something about that. But then you've got the House Republicans who are trying to impeach the Secretary of Homeland Security, Mayorkas, because of how he's handled the border crisis. Well, it's your fault, Congress, for not passing a law or doing anything about it. But you're going after him? I mean, it's sort of ridiculous. They said that they've had a committee on Homeland Security, and they've done nearly a year investigation, and there's a bipartisan vote to refer him to be impeached. He's not going to be impeached. It's ridiculous. Again, it's political theater. Do something about it. Do something about what's going on at the border. Help these people and come up with a rational immigration policy where people can come here in an orderly way, be treated humanely. Whatever the magic number is that we can ingest, right? You can't not have some people come in there. You can't have everybody, and you can't have nobody. So what is the number that we can handle at any given time? figure it out and come up with a humane way to handle this issue, right? It's just a broken system completely. And for anyone to blame Joe Biden, I think is just misplaced and just another political stunt and political theater. And this impeachment is a joke, and it's just taking away from them doing the job that they need to do for the American people. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see whether the Supreme Court rules on this quickly, but again, the law is so clear here that the Biden administration has to win. They just can't do it, right? They absolutely cannot. They can't put the razor wire down. It's kind of preposterous. So
yeah,
that's why
they're going to impeach Mayorkas because they only need a simple majority. Marjorie Taylor Greene has been pushing this issue from the very beginning. He doesn't qualify under the all presidents and cabinet members, civil officers are impeached the same way. You have to show treason, bribery, high crimes, or misdemeanors. And there's a definition of what is a high crime or misdemeanor. They may not agree with the Biden administration policy. They may not agree that, Kamala didn't go down to the border, vice president to go to the border, or whatever this political performative act is. And they may not agree with the fact that Mayorkas' hands are tied because he's got very limited resources because this MAGA Congress hasn't given enough money to Homeland Security and to all things related to immigration to implement policy. You have right now 3 million cases, 3 million cases wending their way through the court system related to immigrants and immigration policy. It has overwhelmed our administrative court systems and our court systems. You don't have enough money for Border Patrol. You don't have enough money allocated for getting countries around the border, including Mexico, to stop the stem the tide of immigration flow from their side. And now that some of the policies of the Biden administration are taking effect, we're seeing a dramatic drop in the number of immigrants trying to cross the border, even in the last few months, because encouraging the Mexican government to do their thing, encouraging the Venezuelan government to do their thing has resulted, it's not just to be clear, it's not just people from Mexico trying to come through the border. They're coming through the Mexican border from all different countries, including, because it's sort of porous. But if you can help the governments on the other side, help do things for their citizens and their residents so they don't feel the need to break the law and try to come through these borders, that helps. So the numbers have dropped substantially. It went from like 5,000 people at the border 3 weeks ago to
10,000
to 500 today. I mean, the numbers have been dramatic. That's not going to stop as show theater for Donald Trump and to try to use immigration as a wedge issue for the election time and for these people to get reelected. For them and because they've abdicated their own responsibility as a legislative body to pass any laws that help Americans. This MAGA Congress, while it's busy trying to, keep a speaker in their chair, has passed a total of 23 laws in almost 2 years. 23 laws for Americans. That's it.
That's ridiculous.
None of them dealing with immigration, because their purpose on this earth is apparently not to be a legislative body and to help Americans and to implement policy that you and I can debate whether we like it or not. It's to pass no policy. It's to do impeachments. It's to go after the Biden administration, the Biden family, the cabinet members, to use immigration as a wedge issue while they don't pass proper immigration policy in bipartisan way with the House and the Senate, while they don't fund immigration policy so that Mayorkas, the Secretary of the Homeland Security, can do his job. They don't fund the court system appropriately so that the backlog of 3 million immigration cases can be resolved.
What's the high crime and misdemeanor they're going to accuse him of?
Whatever they can type with their fingers, and they'll get a simple majority because they've got the majority in the House, and they will get an impeachment. It won't matter a whit in reality because the Senate, controlled by the Democrats, won't convict him. But this is paybacks. This is distraction, misdirection, helping Trump, creating an issue where there isn't one, and payback because we the people impeached Donald Trump twice for his bad acts and
When
misconduct.
was the last time a non-president was impeached?
There's
Do you
one
recall?
other cabinet member. There was a Secretary of War that was impeached once, one time.
In our lifetime, or
Yeah, like in the last 100 years. But I think he took a bribe.
not our lifetime, by the way.
You don't know how old I am. I think the guy took a bribe. I'll look it up later and I'll put it into something later.
Yeah, it's just so odd. You only think of the president. You never think of.
Wait, this just in from our intrepid producer, Secretary of War William Belknap, before 1865. Attorney General Harry something or other, Secretary of Treasury Andrew Mellon Andrew Mellon was impeached.
Yeah,
that's crazy. All right, there's been a bunch. I thought it was one.
Oh no, he said those are
wait. So salty. The topic is impeachment. Not
okay, don't. Salty's doing great. He's trying to be helpful. No, but we should look that up.
Yes, we don't know. We can't do. Hold on. He's telling me to hold on. He's looking for more. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
No, but it is an interesting point, right? We want to. Right. Because people think of, and I'm one of those, by people, I mean me, people think of impeachment as to the president, but what we don't realize and think of it is it applies to others as well, because
all civil officers. It's all civil. There's some text in that one, Karen, that somebody could have used, because it says the president, the vice president, or not other civil officers or civil officers. So you look. When this agreement, I'm on my law practice today. When this Constitution was drafted, even though the Supreme Court likes to say there's meaning in every little curlicue of every little stroke that's in the Constitution, and they must have been consistent. And when they said one thing and used officer here, and they said officer under the United States here, and they said civil officer here, it all has meaning. I am not buying that. This was a group of men who got together in a Congress to put together the Constitution over another hot summer. I think it was in Philadelphia. I'm not sure they were saying, well, one day, I don't think it's not like they had search and find like on the computer. Did we use civil officer everywhere the same way? Because listen, they wrote the thing out in by hand, and then it was printed. So
can you imagine having to do that?
But yet today, we're like, aha, in Article 4 and Article 2 and Section 3 and Clause 16. That's not how they wrote the effing thing. Pardon my French. Continuing with our French theories tonight. It's not. Yet it's what this Talmudic approach, this ruminating and davening, mixing all of my things today, davening over every comma and word. It's not the way it was written. They were smart people. They gave us what's supposed to be the living Constitution, not a brittle document that's rooted and anchored in the past, despite what the MAGA Supreme Court thinks. But this whole thing about, well, if you look here and you look there, I don't think that's how it worked. But listen, who am I to be a constitutional scholar? I just play one on YouTube, basically. Let's see. According to Salty, there's been no successful impeachments of any secretaries. That means no impeachments, no convictions.
No, he says as of July 2020, only one cabinet secretary, William Belknap, has actually been impeached.
Right.
Two others resigned while impeachment proceedings were taking place.
I think that's where we started. I said there was one person that was impeached.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, you did. You were. Know. I'm telling you, you have this incredible.
Yeah, we gotta create a legal AF game show. Well, if you like lawyers talking about things, they know what they're talking about at the intersection of law, politics, and justice. That was Legal AF. We do it Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, only on the MeidasTouch Network, right here on this particular YouTube channel, and then on audio podcast platforms of your choice. We use our 100 years of experience in the law, trying cases like this one, to bring it to you the best way we can as the leaders of Legal AF. And then we do hot takes about every day, if not every hour, at the intersection of law, politics, and justice to keep you updated. If you like what we're doing, you already know about us. Thank you for being along for the ride. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, that was Legal AF I am Michael Popok, and you can join us on Wednesdays and Saturdays and watch our clips. And if you know what we're doing here on Legal AF, take that clip, send it to somebody in your life, ask them to join our journey. So until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF, this is Michael Popok reporting.
Thanks so much for watching. We're only a few subscribers short of 2 million subs. Please subscribe right now to the MeidasTouch YouTube channel for free and help us grow this unapologetically pro-democracy network.